Hey guys, it's Miss Tice, and we're going to be going over chapters 8 through 14 in A Catcher in the Rye. So, first off, in chapter 8, Holden meets this random lady on the subway on the way into New York City. Okay. And so he described her as this. She had these orchids on, like she'd just been to a big party or something. She was around 40 or 45, I guess, but she was very good looking. Women kill me. They really do. I don't mean I'm oversexed or anything like that, although I am quite sexy. I just like them, I mean. So really we're asking ourselves, why is Holden even talking to this woman necessarily? It's an interesting thing for him to be doing. And he lies to her the entire time that they're on this train and like makes up all these crazy lies about her son and says that he's Rudolph Schmidt or whatever the janitor's name is. And then at the end of the ride, he says, then I started reading this timetable I had in my pocket just to stop lying. Once I get started, I can go on for hours if I feel like it. No kidding, hours. He even told this lady that he was dying and needed some surgery or something. He's just a crazy guy. So then, when he gets to New York City, he takes a taxi to the Edmont Hotel, which he describes as being lousy with perverts. And also in this Edmont Hotel is the Lavender Room, which he goes down and tries to get a drink. However, he can't get a drink. He's stuck drinking Coke, and there are these three women that are in from out of town that he dances with. And this first pretty girl that he dances with, he says this about. She knocked me out. I mean it. I was about half in love with her by the time we sat down. That's the thing about girls. Every time they do something pretty, even if they're not much to look at or even if they're sort of stupid, you fall half in love with them. And then you never know where the hell you are. Girls, Jesus Christ, they can drive you crazy. They really can. So once again, sounds a little bit similar to the comment that he made about the woman on the train, even that, he just basically loves the ladies, but is not necessarily great with them. But he's dancing with this chick just to have fun and just to have some company. He goes on to talk about the group. I danced with all of them, the whole three of them, one at a time. The ugly one, Laverne, wasn't too bad a dancer, but the other one, old Marty, was murder. She was like dragging the Statue of Liberty around the floor. I just find this line funny, to be honest. It's just kind of silly that he feels the need to dance with these women and buy them drinks and all of that. Okay, then after that, he goes into Jane Gallagher and he's kind of recounting some of their times together. And he says, I got to know her quite intimately. I don't mean it was anything physical or anything, but we saw each other all the time. You don't have to get too sexy to get to know a girl. So literally, they were just really good friends. He talks about playing tennis with her and going golfing, playing kings, obviously, checkers, keeping her kings in the back row. She does have a complicated family background with her stepdad being weird, though. So just something to note. After that, he ends up trying to go to Ernie's to hear Ernie play on the piano, but then he's just observing all of these people. And he's calling them all phonies at this bar. And then somebody comes up to him who used to date his older brother, DB, and he says, glad to have met you, to this Navy guy that she was with. So here's the quote. I'm always saying glad to have met you to somebody I'm not at all glad I met. If you want to stay alive, you have to say that stuff, though. I love this quote because I feel like this is so just true of people. We're always saying things that we don't really mean to people. Like, oh my gosh, can't wait to see you again. Like, we need to hang out, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, maybe you think that you might hang out, but you're never going to hang out. It's just not going to be a thing. So you're just saying, oh, so good to see you. Like, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Do you ever really know? I don't know. So after that whole situation, he heads back to the hotel and he's approached by Maurice in the elevator. And Maurice wants to know if he wants a little tail, which brings on Sonny the prostitute. This is a whole interesting scenario because Holden's getting nervous. He tells us that he's a virgin and he wants to basically practice for when he's married. And Holden is just acting totally weird and nothing ends up happening. Sonny's kind of impatient and sets him off a little bit because she's too young and just sits in the movie theater all day, and that depresses Holden. So instead of this being a positive interaction, really it just makes him more depressed. And it wasn't a positive interaction for Sonny too. Maurice also told him that it was going to be $5 for a throw. Then Sonny says 10, so he gets roughed up a little by Maurice. So it's just not a good scenario. And after all of this happens, Holden finishes chapter 14 with this line. What I really felt like, though, was committing suicide. I felt like jumping out the window. I probably would have done it too if I'd been sure somebody'd cover me up as soon as I landed. I didn't want a bunch of stupid rubbernecks looking at me when I was all gory. So maybe he is suicidal, maybe he's not. You guys can make that decision as far as that. But this is what he says, and that's a little bit alarming. So stay tuned to see how Holden continues to develop throughout this novel.